I would like to introduce you to Julian Cheal, British Ruby Rails developer with a penchant for tweed on coffee and hungary.
That's cheating.
When not working for clients, he likes events around the world that teach people to program flying robots. He occasionally speaks at international conferences, Ireland International, on the intersection of programming and robotics. In the past, he's worked as a systems developer at the University of Bath. Excellent.
But the other bit you missed is that I'm actually a certified drone charmer as well.
Are you?
Yes. At the University of Drones.
That is true. I've actually seen this guy charming drones, and he's awesome. Like, you're going to see it in a while.
Drone whisperer.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah, hi. There's been read everything on there. But before I do my talk, do you like my website, by the way? Because I hate this whole flat design. So I decided to have actual buttons for my buttons and actually make the fabric the press. So yes, let's go back to old-fashioned design.
What do you want the pattern on the website? It's like fabric pattern.
Oh, it's a herringbone tweed. It's one of my jackets that I can buy. Anyway, so I'm where was I looking for? I am here to talk about. So the idea of today was, I guess, brewing and Node. So I thought I'd talk about the Internet of Beers. How could we bring the Internet of Things into a pub and connect everything so everything's connected? And I saw a tweet the other day that reminded me about the thing that Jeff Atwood said. One of the only sensible things he said, that anything written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript. And I thought, that's cool, yeah, let's make everything in the pub when we all go for a nice beer written in JavaScript. So I don't know if any of you have ever seen Cylon.js. It's a JavaScript framework to control robotics, and it's pretty awesome. It supports all of these platforms, so basically everything you could ever want or imagine, and it's pretty simple. So, oh yeah, all my demos are all on GitHub. As you can see from Atom, not everything's been committed yet, but it will eventually get committed later today. So I thought quickly let's just start at a basic demo. It's really tiny. I organised all of this so I can find it really easily, and then as soon as I get up here I can never find anything. Aha! There it is. Right. Oops. Oh no, I've made it go smaller. Oh, there you go. Didn't need to do that. Right. Can you see that? Or should I make it bigger? So, in Cylon.js, this is how you toggle an LED on and off. You create a robot, you give it a connection. This time we're going to be using an Arduino, and we're going to be using the Fermata adapter. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Fermata. It's a kind of based on the MIDI protocol. You install it on a hardware device, and it basically opens up all of the ports and turns all of the ports into a nice API. And we're going to be using an LED on pin 7, and then here's the bit that actually does the stuff. Every 1 second we're going to blink an LED on and off, and print don't blink on console.log if any of you are Doctor Who fans. So I do have that LED here, but I haven't plugged it in, so imagine this blinking. I've got more demos I'll show you. I just didn't bring enough cables and hardware and whatnot to show you, but in just a few lines of code you could turn this LED on and off. And the observant ones of you will notice this isn't actually an Arduino. This is a BeagleBone Black, which also runs Cylon, and so you can actually install Node.js on here directly and then plug it in the corner of your office and have this LED flashing red for when your CI build fails, or flashing green when it passes. So that's pretty cool. But what I will show you is, if we take this code, it's pretty simple. Let's say you wanted to use it on another device. So you've got the same logic of turning an LED on and off. You want to use it on another device. So if you look at this code, don't blink. This is more or less exactly the same. All we've done is change the connection to Tessel. and everything else is the same. So, don't know if any of you have ever seen a tassel. It's this little red thing here. It's a piece of hardware created by some people from Massachusetts. They've now moved to California, where all the hipsters live. But the cool thing with this is it actually runs Node.js on the board itself. So we can just do a quick demo of that. So, can you see that? Is that big? So the way we interact with the tassel is you install the tassel node library in the global thing on your computer, and then you can just do, let's see, then you can just do tassel run, don't blink, and it's found the tassel via the USB. It's compiling all the code. So even though it runs Node.js, or they say they run JavaScript on the device, what they actually have is a JavaScript to Lua compiler. So it's now doing that on the fly, and it's done that now, and now it's starting our robotics program. So there we go. It's now running that code that we saw that says don't blink, and there's a tiny little blue LED, which only a couple of you will be able to see, that's blinking on and off.
Hold it steady for a second.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay, yes!
Hey. And the cool thing is, thank you. So that's just running on my computer, but if I was to do tassel push, it's going to compile it again and then actually store that application on the tassel itself. So if I was to just plug that into one of my battery packs or something and then just deploy it anywhere in the world, it would continuously just blink that LED. Oh, no, that did work. Yeah, it always looks like it fails, but yes, that should have worked. I don't know. But the cool thing about the tassel is it's got built-in Wi-Fi as well. It is $99, so it's, oh there it is, it's flashing the, can I get my confirmation on that? It's $99, it's got loads of add-on ports, it's pretty cool, and it runs JavaScript, which I kind of like. So that was that. So the other cool thing with Cylon is, so you can run it on all of these devices that I have here, which we shall see, but you want to run JavaScript everywhere. So wouldn't it be really cool if you could write a robotics library that you could run on devices, but you could also run in the browser? So it turns out that you can. So if I go to Cylon and script.js, here's just a simple robot that has a connection to itself and just prints out the name of itself. What you can do is you can compile this with Browserify, or as Max Ogden calls it, Browserify, which I think is a nicer name. So you can do make, what was it? Is it make? Oh yeah, make build. Make build. That should, it's already built, and if we do make serve, it's not very useful being dyslexic and trying to type. And then if we look at localhost 3000, as you can see, here is that code printing my name in Bot. Not very exciting, but you could, say, for instance, run a Node-based brewery application that we may have heard about earlier in your browser, so you wouldn't even need to have servers and hardware running. It could all just run here, which is pretty cool. So you can write the same code that runs on the devices in the browser, but can also use your serial port or Wi-Fi to talk to the Internet of Things, which is pretty cool.
It's another way of isomorphic approach.
Yes, I didn't actually know what that word meant, but if that means computers and JavaScript everywhere, then yes. So that was don't blink, that was Browserify, sorry. So getting to the Internet of Things in the pub, I was thinking, what's the main thing that you want to do when you're out drinking? You obviously want to do beer, golf. Yes. So unfortunately, I accidentally broke this earlier, but this is a pressure sensor, and pretty simple code. So what this does is, when weight is applied, it sends an analog signal out to the variety of devices I have here. And you can do all sorts of cool things, like maybe measure how many times you've lifted your drink up, see how many times it took you to drink a whole pint. And you can have competitions and whatnot between all your friends. And as you can see, the code is pretty similar. We're using an Arduino connection again with the Fermata protocol. We're using an analog sensor as the device. And then here we're just, every second we're reading the analog value, and we've just told it an upper and lower limit. And these can be anything, so if it's for weight, it could know when there's something on there or when there's not anything on there. I've also used this before when I was in Buffalo, to notify the server in the bar when we run out of buffalo wings, which is a huge problem in Buffalo because the wings are so good. Make sure you all go to Buffalo and get their buffalo wings. But that's really, really nice and simple, but I did break it. Because this is the problem with hardware demos. Hardware is really flaky, which is why we're all software developers. It only really dawned on me recently that that's why everyone gave up making transistors in their bedrooms, because code is so much easier to work with. So, yes, we can now play Internet of Things pub golf. That's a great idea. Right, what would we do next? Aha, yes. So, I've had a few. Agatha bought me a couple of beers earlier, and I've been drinking the Metal Man. So, I'd like to know how much alcohol I've drank. And I'm sure most of you, when you're out in the pub with your friends, you sit there thinking, how much beer have I had? Well, it turns out that if you've got more money than sense, you can buy a smart breathalyzer for your iPhone. It's $99, connect via Bluetooth. It's probably made by some dudes in San Francisco that are going to pivot and do all sorts of things. So it's like, why would we want to do that? Because it turns out that using, let me just get to the right folder. Just using a basic Arduino, and again you could use the variety of hardware which I'll show you, and using a breathalyzer that I bought on Amazon for £2, that's probably like 18 euros or something, you can detect how much alcohol you've been drinking. So if I run this...
Any volunteers?
Yes, I was thinking it'd be really cool to gamify it, so you and your friends can see who's drank the less, because obviously, or the least, because obviously we don't want to encourage binge drinking. So the code for this is really simple. That's not the right one. There it is. It's again, it's what we've already. Can you see that? I hope so. We've got a new robot, DrinkBot, using the Arduino again, analog sensor, and you notice there's some other bits of code in here. So the really cool thing is Cylon actually has its own inbuilt API. So if we go here, it's got an API called Robos. So you can see that I've got a robot called DrinkBot, and it's got a sensor attached to it. And so we can look at the analog read value, which is coming from the alcohol sensor. And if I run that, you can see it's got a value of 47. And if I was to breathe into this, run that again. Oh, still 47. That's not right. I'm sure I've been drinking. Anyway, but it's really cool. So you've actually now got a JavaScript API to all of your robotics stuff, which is pretty cool. But I thought, this doesn't look very friendly for when you're in the pub and you're drinking. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to make a little app called How Drunk Am I? That just uses D3. So if we... It should. Of course the demo gods aren't with me today again. Let's try it again. Of course none of these things work when you want them to. that should actually be printing out the values, so that's probably why I'm not getting anything other than the default. But so what I've done is I didn't actually use the Cylon API for this. I just included the server-side events module, and then just post that to D3. And so if this was working, which for some reason we can play with it later, see why. This box would be going up and down to be the more drunk you are. And I was thinking you could have multiple players, different colours, and you could all have a competition to see who's been drinking the most. It's probably because I've got too many things attached, that's probably why. But anyway, I thought that would be quite fun. Anybody else think so? So quiet. You feel free to ask any questions, by the way. I don't know if I know the answer. The script part was quite nice. It was just some JavaScript-y to do D3 stuff. Aha! Okay, so you've been in the pub a little bit. You know how drunk you are. You can now run JavaScript to control robotics in your browser, and then you think, what else could we do? And then one of your friends stumbles upon this article on CNET that says drone waiters are ready to serve in Singapore. And you see a picture of a drone with a beer on it. And you think, I've got a drone. I'm slightly drunk. I wonder if that's possible. Oh, it turns out that I forgot to ask my beautiful assistant to do this for me earlier. Sorry, this is what I should have done a minute ago. So, unfortunately my laptop broke this week, so I lost all my code and Go got completely wiped out, which meant I couldn't do everything I wanted. But what I have here is a bog standard AR drone with a little grab hook attached that has its own API that you can control via Node or Ruby or Go, and it actually would run, if Go was working on my computer, it would actually be running Go on the device. So you could be flying the drone and controlling the grab hook. But unfortunately Go had broken with the age-old demagogues. But as soon as this loads up, there's one more bit. Waiting for this app to load up. Let's just leave it. Stop drinking. A minute. Anyway, so while that's loading, what the code is, it's really nice and simple API. So if any of you are familiar with the AR drone library, it's just a simple add-on to that. You just require drone drop, and then we've just got nice simple commands, grab and drop. So those are just the two kind of things you need. Right, so if I connect this to the Wi-Fi, see, in order to test the alcohol sensor, I've had to actually have a couple of beers, which does make it more difficult to do a talk when you've been drinking. So I need to work out the fine line and get the sensor to say, hey, I think you've had enough. Well, that should connect in a minute. I'll leave that. But the idea would be if this... I think it's working. Yes. Okay. So... So obviously that would all be automated, but my Go code is broken. Can I get someone just to hold that? Just sort of hold it still. Payload. So the idea would be, I don't know if you'll be able to catch it, but imagine you had an actual... See, the annoying thing is it's got sensors underneath that tell that if there's anything close to it, so... Oh well, but it doesn't matter. Imagine there's beer attached now to that drone, and you're in Singapore, and you've heard about these wonderful drones that deliver you beer. And you're thinking, that's really cool. I'm now getting beer delivered. This is taking ages. How far away is my beer? But it's okay, because the Internet of Things has solved that. Sorry it's not a nice, pretty, I spent all my front end on that D3 thing. Imagine the drone that you're drinking in Singapore with your beer on has got an iBeacon attached. So I don't know if you can see, but the closer I get the drone, the accuracy should be changing of how close it is. So we can see that the beer is pretty near. So this is the other thing I thought, is if you connected this to the drone, it could say you shouldn't drive if you've had enough or not enough. So if I could fly, there we go. And as you can see, the drone's got an iBeacon. It knows, we know how close it is. Obviously the staff wouldn't be drinking, but there you go, that's kind of almost Dublin's world's first ever drone-delivered beer with Apple iBeacon technology, all running on Node.js. Anyway, so that was fun. Right, so I just thought I'd show you quickly some of the things I've got. So Internet of Things is about things, right? And I got lots of stuff. That's why I prefer the Internet of Stuff and Things. So this is the Spark call that we all heard about earlier, so it's quite lucky I have one. The reason I haven't used it today, because as amazing they are, they do connect to the Wi-Fi, and the only way you can talk to them is via the Wi-Fi, and everybody knows that Wi-Fi in conferences and venues sucks. So it doesn't always work, but here it is, it's really tiny, you can all come and have a look. It's really fun. It comes in this really nice box. And the reason I know it's a really nice box is I talked to the product manager who said this was the 4th iteration of cardboard boxes. So there you go, if you want to pivot and make an Internet of Things company, cardboard boxes takes a lot of time. There we go. But I thought I'd just quickly show, this is the Spark interface. So this is running on the Spark cloud, and so here's just a simple bit of C code that turns a relay on and off, and the way you would connect to that is either via curl or Spark have actually got a Node.js library written by the same people that wrote Cylon.js that you can use, or you can use Ruby or Go, and so you can control your brewery with the Spark via this. That's pretty cool. So the other device I showed you obviously is the Tesla that runs JavaScript. And anybody know what this is? Yes, you would think it's an SD card because it looks like one, right? But it's actually a microcontroller. It's called an electric imp. It is basically the same thing as a Tesla and a Spark. The language that you write it in is kind of like JavaScript. It's their own language, I can't remember what it's called, but there are APIs and they've got a whole cloud-based system again. So this is really cool. You would just plug it into something and boom, Internet of Things. That would be really cool.
How does it connect? Has it got Wi-Fi on it?
Yeah, so it's got Wi-Fi in, and it's got this really... So have any of you seen the smart lock that will lock your house with Bluetooth? So they use this as well, and it's got a really neat feature that... maybe it's Bluetooth instead of Wi-Fi actually. Yes, it's Bluetooth. What it does is it actually flashes an LED that your phone camera looks at, and that's how they communicate to each other to authenticate, which is pretty smart. So this is already in production in actual products that people are buying. Same as the Spark. they've actually made, someone's made a smart dog feeder using this, and I've made a beer drinking system. No, you've made that. Yes. I made some useless things. So, yeah, all of this stuff is all in production. It's all really cool, and it's really cheap, and it all runs Node, which is really, really fun. So, what else have we done while we were... So we're all in the pub, we're all thinking, what can we do while we're drunk? Ah, right.
How do I handle this bit? Yes.
Let me just... Yeah. Let's unplug everything that way. So, you've been in the pub a little while, and you think, okay, we've had a few drinks. Yeah. Wouldn't it be fun if we could have like a party mode of the pub? So when, you know, when you've got had a the Internet of Things is broken. Does anyone know how to debug this stuff?
Rebooters.
Pardon?
Rebooters.
Yeah, I know. Ah. Anyway, I'll show you the code and I can just do it manually. So the idea was, you're all in the pub, you've been drinking, and you would like to instantiate a party mode. So, just so happens I have exactly the code for that. So, really simple. You create a Cylon robot, you use an Arduino. This time we've got two devices. We've got a pin, really badly named, it's actually for a relay, and we've got a button. And, of course, most people have lying around, you know, a guitar effects pedal that they just don't need anymore. And if that Arduino was playing properly, what should happen is you step on the effects pedal, that switches on the relay, which then magically somehow plugs in my disco lights. Which aren't going to switch on because the relay is telling it not to.
Shake that.
And the music would start. But I don't know why it's not working. But that would be the party mode. I think that would be pretty cool. Wow, it's so cool because I really want to show you this. I don't want to plug it. Oh,
There we go.
There we go. See, you can actually tell it works. It's when I plug the Arduino in, it turns the disco ball on. So this is just your bog standard Amazon disco ball with a relay connected to it, and I took it completely apart, found out that when you buy dodgy electrics off Amazon, where it says fuse, there's nothing connected to it. We've got to press this, it would be really fun to start. Oh, why is it not working? I don't know. But anyway, where's the drum? There it is. Right, so you've let's turn this off. So you've been dancing a little bit, listening to party rockers. You've been testing your alcohol strength, breath. And you then think, well, that drone that is now off duty, that was delivering our drinks badly earlier, I wonder what it's doing now. Because I loved it. Ah, I know that one. Let's try it again. Okay, fingers crossed, this works. Hopefully, it should. Oh, it's working!
Take off the
Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Anyway, what you would do is you just take the one standard PlayStation dance mat, one drone that decides to want to dance, Daniel style, disco ball, and now make the internet experiences. So, I don't know. Kind of cool, right? There we go. Anyway. So I think that might be me. Questions?
Your party mode that you had there, line about Spotify, was that just an Apple script that started?
Yeah.
Spotify?
Where was it? Yeah, we're here. Yeah, it's just Spotify Node Apple script, so you just send it a play, pause, and you can also forward and back the tracks. And it's actually really cool because good way to get kids into robots, because I connected the dance mat to the drone, and my nephews flew it straight into the wall and broke it. I was like, that's not a good thing. But then I thought, oh, dance mat, Spotify, they both love music, so had like the left, went back a track, right, forward a track. But it turns out, when you press back, it goes to the beginning of the track, and you have to press it twice. It really confuses small children, so I had to hack that. But their favourite thing was doing volume down, and then as soon as someone came in the room, they jumped on the volume up, make it full volume party rockers. That's how I found out about that song from my nephews. But yes, I forgot the question, but yes. Any other questions?
We should go out clubbing and bring the drone with us.
Yes.
Just like throw it down in the middle of the nightclub. Go for it.
Well, my next. Oh, I didn't check. The other thing. Yes, you reminded me. So, I showed you the demo of switching the light on and LED on. It's like just LED on. If you understand that code and you know how to write an array, turns out you can turn on 60 LEDs.
Nice.
And make a nice party mode laptop. So I was thinking it'd be really cool to attach that to a drone and with a disco ball and have this to deploy instant party mode. So if you're in a boring stuffy party, with cheese and wine, it'd be just throw the drone down and party mode. So there's a whole framework that's written in Node, there's importance.
It's not the idea of mixing up the DD format into the internet into a drone control. That just really works.
Well, you could probably use it in your code reviews or something for stepping through the code. What's that Irish thing, right?
Actually, that'd be great because there's a whole thing about stand-up desks because apparently coders aren't getting enough exercise. So if you could have it so their keyboard instead was like a dance mat.
I think it supports Dvorak keyboards. I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah, it could be an extra hand for coding.
Exactly, yeah.
2 hands. Four hands.
It's funny you say that.
That'd be pretty good.
You can buy really expensive foot pedals for when you're using Vim and Emacs because you obviously don't have enough fingers.
Just use that.
There we go. Instead of buying that, just use this.
Nice. Very nice.
Proper serious face.
What's the story with the Go stuff on the drone? Is Felix Geisendorfer doing much with Go now on drones, or do you follow any of the stuff?
Yeah, he's gone completely from Node to Go. Now he's gone.
He's gone a long time though. He's gone 2 years.
But so because the drone is basically same kind of hardware as a Raspberry Pi, you can cross-compile stuff on your laptop and run it on there. The reason I couldn't is Go destroyed itself. But you can. There's actually a whole. We've got another library. Let's do it here. Called Gort, which is a Go binary that installs Windows, Mac, Linux, that you can do all sorts of things like scan for peripherals and upload code to the AR drone. That's what the drone drop bit would do. And you can just write a really simple Go program that runs on the drone, maps to a port, and then it's got the GoBot library. Hybrid Group that wrote Cylon.js have also written R2, which is in Ruby, and GoBot.io, which is in Go. So you've then got a whole API on the drone, so you can control like the drone dropper, or the camera, or whatnot.
It's basically like Johnny 5 on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
When the drone was moving there, like, because it was close to the brave gentleman who was trying to stick a beer can on the bottom of it, like, where was that happening?
So on the drone, it's got two sensors to do with height. It's got two ultrasonic sensors that deals with height up to about 3 meters, and after that, it's got an altimeter. So I must have placed you've got to place the drone dropper in just the right place that your payload can be out of the way of the sensor.
So is that's built into the firmware on the drone?
Which is what Felix is doing, was rewriting the firmware. So I just used the basic.
He's been doing that though for about 2 years now. Must be complicated.
Yeah, I mean all the blades are spinning different directions at different times, and I can barely control it with this, so I wouldn't want to write that.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry.
Those LEDs, are those RGB? Like,
Oh, these are awesome. They're Adafruit call them neopixels, but they're basically there's like WS282 or something, the actual name of the LED, and yeah, it's got 16 point something million colors, and you have to actually send it really explicit clock timing and frequencies and all sorts of low-level assembler to actually control them. But Adafruit wrote a nice library on top of that, and there's actually a JavaScript library to control it. It's not brilliant yet because the way you do it is you send every pixel the value that you want it to be, and then you tell the pixels to do that value, and then you have to keep doing that. So you imagine currently using Formata, it's not very efficient doing that in JavaScript because you just get a memory overload. But getting there.
So you could, I mean, like, how do they work? Are they like 3 LEDs in one, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think I can't see. There's a lot of them.
So you could theoretically take a bunch of those strips and make out a full color display. Just pure.
Oh yeah, people have done that. There is I think it's in JavaScript or something. There's a library that takes a video feed and with a lot of these puts it on a LED display. But this is 60 of them, and it's probably taking as much power as it can from the Arduino. So I've got an Arduino here, and I'm using a capacitor to kind of keep a bit of power to send it, because any more than 60 you want to give them a separate power supply. But a friend of mine built this amazing thing called a light sync. He had 5,000 LEDs up a wall, and he had these touch sensitive controls that you could touch, and it made different synthesizer sounds and turned the LEDs on differently. And that took like 30 amps of power per strip. But they're cool, and you can chop them up and connect them up, and have them green for your CI server or just flashing over the top. I actually, I was in a forest once, and I used them as a utility belt so I could see where I was going.
What were you carrying using?
Just a USB battery pack.
Okay. Maybe people like put up high visibility vests.
And cyclists have actually used them on their jackets for cycling at night, and of course you can change the colours.
So you mentioned
Or
those.
put it on spokes like so that persistence of vision makes images appear on the wheel.
That would be cool. Sorry.
You mentioned on the Castle that it was actually converted into Lua when you loaded it into the device, so it doesn't run the JavaScript itself. You convert it into an executor or another scripting language like Lua. Is that what's happening?
Sorry,
With the Castle. It was written in Node/JavaScript and it was converted, you say, into Lua.
Yeah. So it's Lua running on the board, but you never write any Lua yourself. They've been writing all the firmware specifically that everything on there has a JavaScript API for you to use. So in all intents and purposes, it feels like it's running JavaScript on there because you never see the compiling into Lua. You could write some if you had something really particular that wouldn't work in JavaScript, but I don't think there is anything yet.
But you compiled it and then downloaded it.
Yeah, and the Tessel library does all that for you, so as a user it's completely seamless. If you didn't know that it was doing that, you would imagine that it's running V8 or something on there.
And is it similar for the other products, or?
So the Spark runs C, so what most people do is they install a library, a bit like Formata, that opens up all the ports as an API, and then you would connect to that via the cloud, the Spark cloud, using a JavaScript library they've written or whatever else. I mean, you can write and embed C programs on it, but it would kind of limit the Spark to just that one application that you're doing.
So the JavaScript is running elsewhere and talking at a lower level?
Yeah, so this has a permanent connection to the internet and deals with the reconnection if it loses it. And so you would just, the Spark cloud would kind of just sit there, and if you wanted persistence and things like that, you know, if your messages didn't get through, you'd need another service on top of that.
Okay, so it's running up in the cloud?
Yeah, Nearform have something like that with Matthias and QTT
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Yeah, we do actually. I didn't think of that.
And same with the Castle, you know, you would, this has got Wi-Fi too, so you could, they don't give you a cloud API like Spark do, so you have to roll your own, but it's got Wi-Fi built in, so you could do a similar thing as you would do with the Spark. I mean, that's one reason why the Arduinos are going out of fashion these days, because there's no internet connectivity in them. You've got to buy an additional shield, which ends up costing as much as one of these new devices. And BeagleBone Black is a bit like the Raspberry Pi. It's actually a full-blown Linux computer. It's kind of like Raspberry Pi on steroids, although the new Raspberry Pi might actually be better than this one. But this is cool, and you can run Node directly on here, and you can attach Wi-Fi and whatnot. And that's really cheap too. The PlayStation controllers we've got, you can control things with that using Cylon.js. Pretty cool.
How does this Cylon communicate with drone? It goes via Wi-Fi as well? Or?
Yeah, so with the AR drone, I don't know if you can see, they're connected to the drone, because the drone is actually a wireless hotspot. So you connect to it, and then it communicates over UDP, sending various packets to the drone to tell it what to do. And then the way I'm communicating with this Arduino is just over the serial port, and then actually I communicate and didn't communicate on the internet over the serial port, but with Cylon you can swap out, you know, going connecting between the serial or going over the API, which would be over Wi-Fi or something. So like if I had used the Spark core, even though I would have plugged it into my computer over USB, that would have just been for power. All of the communication would have gone via the cloud, which is really cool.
노는 여자 이때다 싶으면 묶었던 머리 푸는 여자 가렸지만
Yeah, that was great.
That's cool.